Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. There have been more videos, I think, in the past 2 or 3 days than in any other 2 or 3 day period on the channel. So if you are not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so. Turn on the bell notifications so that you do not miss anything. Chelsea are working a lot right now. We might not be seeing completions, but just of a few minutes ago when I started recording this, which is 8:30 in the evening on Thursday night, which is 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon in the UK, Simon Phillips reported that a deal has been agreed for Raheem Sterling. And in this video today, I'm going to do a player comparison because we have been linked with Sterling. It looks like this one could be going ahead. We've also been linked with Ousmane Dembele. The Rafinha deal we're going to kind of leave on the side for now. And there's also been the talks of Neymar. I want to compare these three players. I want to look at the positives of both players, the negatives of all of these players, and discuss which one I think would be the most astute good business for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea. Now, obviously, the fact that it looks as though the Sterling deal is going ahead really does have an impact on the potential of signing either Neymar or Dembele as well, if not or. It could have just been one. Chances are it's probably only going to be Sterling, but it could have been three. We've been linked with so many players, and I think it's important when we look at all of these players that we weigh up the different options in terms of financial, how it affects Chelsea, systematically, how do these players suit Thomas Tuchel's style, and also, what are we going to get in terms of how do we avoid the risks that Chelsea have taken in the past, which has led us with players who we've spent a lot of money on, set massive expectations for, and then have inevitably ended up not living up to that expectation that we have set, not just as fans, but within the club as well. Chelsea are a club who have been spending tons of money for a significant period of time, and under Todd Boehly, it looks as though we're going to be spending big again this summer. And the interesting thing about how Chelsea are conducting the business right now is that we are working on multiple deals at a time. In the past, it has been heavily reported that Chelsea were a difficult club to deal with, not just because Marina Granovskaya would dig her heels in and make things difficult in terms of not budging on negotiations, having a set fee that we are willing to spend, and then kind of just making it hard for other clubs to manipulate Chelsea, because Chelsea would just turn around and be like, well, that's the way it's going to be, then see you later, alligator in a wild crocodile. But we're going to begin by taking a little look at Raheem Sterling. First of all, now, if we look at Sterling last season, 27 years old, 47 matches played for City, 17 goals and 9 assists. One of the biggest issues that people have with Raheem Sterling is serious questions about his finishing. Now, I've looked into this quite a lot. I've seen a lot of Raheem Sterling, not just for City. Obviously, City are everywhere. They're always live, Champions League, but for England as well. And I would go as far as to say, potentially, if we're talking about the issue with Raheem Sterling, I would say that it isn't always necessarily the finishing that is my biggest problem with him. What I would say is the biggest thing that Sterling struggles with is decision making. Now, when you play for a team like Manchester City, and you've got players around you like Bernardo Silva, Gabriel Jesus, Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez, countless quality attacking players, there is always going to be that little thought in your head where it's like, well, should I shoot or should I pass? Because one of these guys might be in a better position. But one of the things I love about Raheem Sterling is that he is very direct. He's very good positionally. When it comes to either hugging the touchline or coming inside, he's a very intelligent player. Another thing that's also great for Chelsea is that we do have players who are predominantly left-sided. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Christian Pulisic, Raheem Sterling can play on both sides, prefers to play on the left. But the one thing that is very, very, very good for Chelsea when it comes to who we're going to buy, the price point for Raheem Sterling is not tremendously expensive. We're talking around the region of £35 million, which, yeah, it's still a lot of money. But for a player who's 27 years old, has been consistently delivering in the Premier League with very, very high numbers of contributions now for over 5 years, he is in the prime years of his career. So even though at Manchester City there have been huge public outcries about his finishing ability, I do think this is ever so slightly over the top, OTT, and I think that Raheem Sterling at Chelsea would do very well indeed. If he's playing on that left-hand side, you've got Ben Chilwell overlapping him, allowing Sterling to cut inside to support the striker, potentially Kai Havertz, Mason Mount arriving on the edge of the area. That England combination as well, if Conor Gallagher's going to get more minutes this season. I really think that Raheem Sterling would be a great piece of business for Chelsea. And we move into talking a little bit about Neymar. This one of all three is without question the most unlikely. Neymar's 30 years old. If we look at his output from last season, 28 matches, 13 goals, 8 assists. You might expect that to be a little bit higher now that he was playing once again with his good friend Lionel Messi. You've got Kylian Mbappe there as well, a star-studded Paris Saint-Germain side. But I think the key thing about Neymar is, yes, it would be a massive marquee signing for Todd Boehly. There's been a lot of talk that Todd Boehly wants to not only provide the players that Thomas Tuchel wants to work with and that Tuchel thinks is best for the system, but he also wants that marquee name. And it would be good for Chelsea to get a player like Neymar in terms of the business that would come in. The financial repercussions of signing a player like Neymar are only positive for Chelsea, despite the issue that would come with an incredibly high wage demand. There is a talk at the moment that Paris Saint-Germain would be open to a loan move. And I think what's super interesting about Chelsea's interest in Neymar is there are very few clubs that can actually afford to pay Neymar. You got Manchester City in there. That one's a bit quiet, not heard anything about that. Could always go to Newcastle, but Neymar's not going to drop out of the Champions League, and not only drop out of the Champions League this season, but there's no guarantee that Newcastle are going to push and finish in the top 4 anytime soon. Going back to Barcelona makes sense, but Barcelona have been working to try and get Rafinha through the door. They also want Robert Lewandowski. So you're looking at this, you're looking at all of these levers that Barcelona are having to pull to just get that cash to fall on their heads so that they can afford people. And you wonder how it's financially feasible at all for Barcelona to sign this guy. When we also think about what Neymar also does, that 30 years old is an issue for Chelsea. It's always been an issue for us to sign players 30 and above. But the attitude of Neymar, when things aren't going well, he tends to sulk. He tends to lose interest. He tends to then want away again. So for this one, I think the only place I see Neymar actually going, whether it's financially doable or not, is Barcelona, which means if Neymar goes back to Barcelona, then there's absolutely no chance that Ousmane Dembele stays. At this moment in time, the Dembele story, or saga, whatever you want to call it, has been very, very heavily pushed towards Dembele wants to stay at Barcelona, but Barcelona are not willing to offer Dembele a contract that matches his demands. Dembele is only 25 years old. He's the youngest of all three. And the injury record of Ousmane Dembele is insane. I always bring up the game he played at the Nou Camp against us when they knocked us out the Champions League. That was probably the best I've ever seen Dembele play in a match that I've actually watched him in. But the thing with Dembele, he's worked with Tuchel before. He is 25 years old, and when Chelsea are looking to spend money this summer, let's say Raheem Sterling comes in, we lose Rafinha. Ousmane Dembele's got to be the man we go for. Even if the wages are going to be pretty high. Lukaku's gone to Inter Milan. That one's done, dead and buried. We don't have to think about him anymore. And I think Dembele would be such a good signing on a free if he could stay fit. It is the biggest issue with Ousmane Dembele, is the fact that he just cannot seem to stay fit for any sustained period of time, which with Chelsea, I don't know if it is the way we train. I don't know if it is the staff that we have to help players recover. I don't think it is. I think we've got a pretty good record of sustainably bringing players through injuries that they sustain on the field. It would be a massive risk with this guy, and considering the injury records of Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, Christian Pulisic, those three are the first ones that really come to mind. Would Chelsea have another issue here with this guy if we struggle to offload more wingers? It looks like Ziyech could go, Timo Werner could go, Christian Pulisic is wanted by Juventus if Juventus are to sell us Matthias de Ligt. There are so many deals right now that we don't really know the ins and outs of, but we know that Chelsea are working. So if I had to round this one up and make a decision as to which players I would like, I think I would go with Raheem Sterling as number one, just because I think there is so little risk with Sterling. 27, prime of his career, consistent output for such a long period of time. And I think he'd be a really, really good player for us. He's also, even at 27, a highly influential member of the Manchester City squad. He's so experienced that I think being around all of the other English lads that Chelsea have in the team too would significantly help him to grow into these latter phases of his career, to enjoy those prime years and get the best out of himself. Have we already seen the best of Raheem Sterling? I think that is one of the issues that people have right now. Neymar, yeah, it would be amazing, but I think it would just be one of those sexy signings that we've talked about recently. The issues that could come with it. Dembele, the injury record, can't get it out of my head, but a very exciting direct player once more. I think it would be Sterling, and then between Neymar and Dembele, if we were to sign Sterling, I just want Neymar for the sake of it really, but that isn't going to happen. We're not going to get Sterling and Neymar. We could get Sterling and Dembele. I think that is more feasible in terms of, could it happen? Will it happen? Let me know your thoughts on all three of those players in the comments down below. Bringing it back to what I said at the beginning of the video, it looks as though a deal is agreed. We're going to see this one. Will it be finalised? We will soon find out in the coming days. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you are new. My new secret project vlog channel is also linked down below. There have been so many videos over the course of the past few days, so if you're bored, you can go and check them out. They're on the channel. Make sure you're subbed. I'll see you guys later. Come on, you Blues.